Computer. Hi, welcome to Menopause Chats. I am Erin Daruska. I'm very delighted to have you here, and I'm very delighted to have my friend Paula here, who is going to talk to us about her story. Hi, Paula.
Hi. Hi, Erin.
Thank you for being here. Yeah, tell us a little bit. I know your story is a little bit different, so tell me about your story.
Sure. And thank you so much for considering, even though I'm probably a little bit older than most of the people you're talking to. For those who don't know, I'm 65. So this happened for me a very long time ago and longer than most because I had menopause probably sometime around the age of 39 or 38. And I do say probably because I had no clue what I was going through. It wasn't until I was actually through menopause, at some time later, at some sort of gyno checkup, they said, "Oh, you're already post-menopause," you know. So I love what Erin's doing here because I think what this does is give us an opportunity to talk about something that we don't talk about. And I have more connection to it currently through friends who are now, some that are going through it now, some who are younger, like my sisters who are just going through it in their 50s. And, I have to, it's been interesting to have Erin ask this question because as I look back, I'm like, wow, I had just made a job change. I've had six children altogether, but one of my oldest twins passed away in just 3 to 4 years prior to the onset of menopause for me. And so I chalked up a lot of my night sweats and stuff that was going on with me physically to, well, gee, maybe it's post-traumatic stress. Maybe it's, I'm just exhausted and I'm still getting my life back. And I had to acknowledge the fact that I also had children 10 and, under the age of 10. So I still had five surviving children at home under the age of 10. And I was working full time. So lots going on. But I had switched jobs thinking, hey, this is going to be easier. I need a break. I just need to do something a little easy for change. And I would show up at meetings where I'm supposed to be, coming across as a leader, and I'm sweating buckets. You would think I was feeling totally incompetent, totally stressed out to be with these people. And I wasn't stressed out at all, but I couldn't help the fact that I couldn't keep a jacket on. At that time we still wore suits. I couldn't keep a jacket on. And when I did take off, I was, the whole time trying to keep myself
People, like you said, people are
cool.
probably thinking you're nervous, and you're like, "But I'm not at all nervous."
I'm not nervous, guys. I don't know what's going on with me. And but you didn't want to say that either because you want to appear to be collective and together. And then as Aaron asked this, another question came up for me that I've got to thinking about the time period. And there was a whole lot of stress between what is now my ex-husband and I at the time. We both, of course, had lost Chris and transitioned to helping other parents who were dealing with similar things. She had a brain tumor, and we had a very difficult medical experience through all of that, which I won't go into. But it was similar to what women sometimes experience when they go in to ask the medical, our folks that we look to for answers, and they dismiss us. It's very dismissive, and it's like they've got the answer, you don't need the answer. And, from a personal experience, I also let go of my own intuition during that time, even for my daughter, and the same for myself. I looked to the outside world to say, what do I do? You're the ones who know what to do. I don't know what to do. And yet I had this conflict the whole time, both with my daughter's situation and then later now with this situation in menopause of, well, how much of this is just I need to take care of myself differently? Do I need to, is it okay? I'm just getting older. Um, yeah, I really am the idiot. I really am the incompetent one. I really am. All of the words that my ex and others might throw at us as women to say, what is going on with you? We can't depend on you anymore for whatever reason. And what I mean by that is not that I wasn't dependable, but that maybe I got tired or I didn't want to do the same things anymore. Or, yeah, I was having, I couldn't get the sleep I needed because I was up all night sweating buckets. And so, these are things we don't take into consideration when we're going through. We don't talk about it. I didn't talk about it with my friends at the time, so nobody could have even helped me tap into the fact that maybe this was menopause. I just thought there was something wrong with me, and I was in my own little world, and I needed to figure it out, and I needed to push on through. Well, I didn't need to push on through. We do have each other, and we don't have to necessarily rely on what's outside of us in terms of what's really going on for us. So, what I mean by that is, if I had known then what I know now, if I had taken the time to really appreciate who I am and understand why I'm feeling the feelings I'm feeling, whether it's an impact of a moment and the reaction I'm having, is it chemical? Is this, what do I need in that moment? Because I'm feeling this way. What is something not happening that I need to have happen? Um, I probably would have made different choices, but my lack of confidence, self-confidence in myself when it came to me not arising to an occasion that I thought I should be able to arise to, or being embarrassed because, yeah, I was fine, but I didn't look like I was fine, um, kept me from being able to be truly honest and empathetic with myself about, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? What do I need? And how can I move forward differently? I think my marriage probably suffered a little bit from that too, because it was also during this time frame that it took me a few years after all this to finally just say, wait a minute, I like myself.
Mm.
And I don't need to be judged. I don't need to be told I'm not okay. I don't need to be told, um, that I'm not living up to your expectations. Because as in this particular case, given a male and female situation, right, his expectations were not consistent with what was really truly going on with me. But then he didn't know the difference either. And there were definite things going on physically
What's that
that
idea,
led
right?
to a
That
lot of
like
that.
everyone's doing the best they can at the time, right?
Yeah,
Like in that moment. So
right, right. So for me, what I remember of it was the sweats. I remember the exhaustion. I remember, and I've always been really interested in nutrition and how I could help better supplement myself. So I know I did things to help make sure I was taking care of that part. Um, I couldn't tell you for sure what they were, but yeah. And since then, my sister's now going through it. It's been kind of interesting to me to say, well, first of all, you're not alone. You're not, this is not uncommon, and take away some of that fear factor so that we can maybe look at, well, what's really going on here? Maybe there's a hormonal, opportunity here to take a look at. Maybe there's just the reality that there's a benefit here to how you now change up your sleep cycles or you do something different to better accommodate your needs. Not the norm, but what's going to work for you. And so they've been very I've been able to pass along different, folks for them to read up on and learn more about. But I wouldn't say I've become an expert in the process at all. It's like, I've been there, done that. I don't want to go read about that. But
yeah, I mean that's where this is how this started for me. Is like, oh, I'm really curious. It's like, oh wait, you're postmenopausal. Well, now I want to read all about it and find out all these things. And now I'm just curious about other people's stories and their experiences because everybody's story is so different and their experience. There's some overlap in some places, but to your point of starting it in your 30s, like yeah, it could start as early as 35. And it could be later, and all of that's normal. But again, you don't know that it's normal, and particularly if the doctors aren't considering that as part of your experience in the moment, right? If you're not asking about it and you're a certain age, they might not even be considering it either because they're not trained.
right.
And so we think that they are, or we think that they should be, and then we come to find out like, oh, they're not. um, so that's what's fascinating for me. I'm curious because I know you have a lot of different tools in your tool belt.
Yes.
So for you now, like, is there a tool that you use now that you're like, oh, I really wish I knew that tool back then?
Yeah, there are a lot of different ones, but the one I probably would have benefited from the most at the time is one is a combination of both what we call the connection practice, which is really focusing on both nonviolent communication teachings as well as Heartmath. And the reason for that is it teaches it, the tool itself invites you to take a look at what's impacting you in the moment. Maybe somebody said something and you've been impacted. It could be you were excited or you were like, oh, you know, and being able to just notice, well, when so and so said this, I felt this. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be just so it's just a feeling, not a judgment, but just a feeling. That means sad, angry, lost, confused, that kind of thing, or happy, excited, joyful.
Curious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
curious. Yeah. And then what need is being met or unmet in that moment? If it was a negative reaction, it's an unmet need. So, what was the unmet need? Was it security? Was it reassurance? Was it um, a shared reality with somebody, a shared understanding, trust? If it was a positive, reaction, what was it? Oh my gosh, adventure, beauty, these type of things show up. So, and the reason for that is once you name what's going on, then you can go through the process of heart math. And heart math does two things, especially from a menopause perspective. It takes what is somewhat overwhelming and helps you bring it down to the level of just you relating with you. And so you go through a breathing exercise to just kind of begin to calm yourself down. And I don't want to say calm yourself down because what you're doing is inviting a natural rhythm. So you can be happy and still do heart math because you're still going to go in and take a look at any questions that you have. But let's say you've identified something is going on. You've identified you are lost. Let's say with menopause, I've got this going on. I don't know what it is with my body. This is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling lost. I need clarity. And then you go through the heart math process to do some quick breathing, it's just, heartfelt breathing. You go slow that down, then you take your awareness from your head down to your heart. And from here, you bring in a feeling of just whatever puts a smile on your face. That's probably the easiest one to say. And then from there, you're just sitting with that feeling, something that gives you, whether it's beautiful trees outside or a landscape of a lake and whatever brings you that feeling in your body of that aha or that place of joy. And when you're there, then you ask, what else do I need to know? And it's amazing what will drop in because especially as women, but everybody, we have an intuitive connection with ourselves. So one of the key tools, if I had known it back then and I'd used it better, would have been to do this. I think I would have catapulted a lot of my decision making along the way much quicker. So,
Yeah, it's so interesting, right? It's just like these practices that we gain later in life sometimes, and you're like, oh,
yeah.
that would have helped me back then. And so
And I
hopefully,
didn't give you the full spectrum
yeah.
of either one. It's kind of an overview of what they're like, because I wouldn't want you to think, well, that's the tool now. Well, there is more to know.
Yes.
But that's the gist of what it's all about. And what's nice about that is that we all know that when we have too much serotonin or we too have other thing or a deficit
Mhm.
or our own systems are getting kind of out, we get scared, things happen and we release adrenaline. Well, now maybe we're on an adrenaline high. Part of what all this is doing is bringing us back into that parasympathetic sympathetic rhythm to be able to be mindful, well, not really mindful, so well, be able to take that awareness to a place where now we can hear, we can touch into, tap into, tune into.
Because it's so easy to stay in our heads, right? And like rethink, ruminate and rethink over things. And so like being able to drop into like, more into your heart and into your body makes a huge difference to just shut that channel off, right? It's almost like I kind of think about it as like changing the channel and I'm aging myself, but hey, you all know how old I am anyway. But like the TV knob, right? Like literally changing the channel. So remote, whatever you want to use. But like changing it from, oh, I'm thinking like to, oh, okay, bringing it into my body.
Well, we all know what it's like, especially today, to be in the negative environment, right? We're getting impacted all the time. Yeah, with all this information.
Mhm.
And to be able to take that and just set it aside and give your body a chance to come into that place where, you can have that feeling. Feeling is really key. Whatever that feeling is, for me, it's being on a lake, looking up into the landscape and seeing how just gorgeous and beautiful the mountains and the
Mine is
pine.
like Instagram kitten videos.
So, and it's like, I'm like in that, oh, that's just so beautiful moment. It's quiet. There's not really another sound anywhere. And, but you can use anything. But once you get there, now you're raising your level of awareness to a different level. And that's what opens you up to have more information flow. Yeah.
Um, Last thing before we wrap up, what do you hope that women watching you talk about your story, what do you hope that they take away from your story?
I think the biggest thing is to talk about it, and well, the biggest thing is to trust yourself.
Mm.
I would say number one, don't second guess yourself. Do get to a place where you're just relaxed and you allow yourself to put down what all's going on, and then see what makes sense. What's really just the fear, but what else is maybe, hey, this is really happening for me. Pains, anything, because at the end of the day, you're the only one that can represent you. The doctors can't. The next door neighbor, who might sound like they've got all the answers, can't, you know. And so you need to find those things that work for you.
Yeah, and that's what, and have that I mean, I think it's okay to go, I mean, certainly go to a doctor, but like
Oh
have
yeah,
an
oh
open
yeah,
conversation about it, right? Advocate for yourself and be careful where you're getting information from, right? Like I feel like sometimes there's a lot of misinformation out there or, I look at things of like influencers who are talking about menopause. Glad there's a platform out there. Glad that they're doing that. That's not what this is because I'm
hmm
not selling it. Like I have nothing to sell you. So there's this, I get a little bit of a reaction around like, oh, and this person's now trying to sell me supplements or, something else. And, people need to make a living and that's fine. But I also am like, like where's the, what's in it for, for them, right? To tell you, like, oh, you should be on this supplement. It's like,
Well, and just trust yourself. Trust your own, hey, that doesn't sound right to me. Okay,
yeah,
fine. I'll move on to something else.
yeah,
Or you're not, I don't know that you understand my situation,
right.
or yeah, that's it. I
Yeah.
think I want to
And
try
hey,
that.
if you want to take a supplement, do it, but like be informed about it or like
Yeah.
consider like for me, it's like that critical thinking around like, oh, should I take this? Like, where is this coming from? Who's telling me to do this and why?
Mhm.
You know. So anyway, but yeah, always an interesting I love having these conversations because to your point, we don't talk about it. And so for me, it's been really great to start, talking about this with people and then putting it out there for other people to sort of eavesdrop on.
I
So
think it's great. I just love that you're doing this. I wish I'd had a platform like this where I would have had an opportunity to decipher through what was really going on,
great, great.
And if nothing else, no, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Not alone.
Absolutely. So thank you, Paula. And
Yeah.
thank you for watching, listening. Feel free to comment, feel free to share. If you're interested in being on, please reach out. I'm happy to have people on. I want to keep this going as long as I can. Otherwise, have a wonderful rest of your day.